Hi there guys, welcome to the video, and this here is the GepRC Mark V Freestyle frame, their latest 5-inch freestyle frame. And in this video I'm gonna review it. I'm gonna tell you what I like about this frame, what I dislike about the frame, and I'll be comparing it with my current go-to frame. This is the Foxeer Aura 5. And again, this is currently my go-to frame. Can this GepRC Mark V take its place? Is it a better frame? Is it maybe heavier, lighter? Does it come with better options? Let's dive into it.
You serious?
So this is how you'd get the GepRC Mark V, and this is the Pro version. The difference between the non-Pro version and the Pro version is some extra TPU parts, like a landing feet and a camera mount, several camera mounts actually, an antenna mount for the FPV antenna. That's about it. So extra TPU parts. That's the difference again between the Pro and the non-Pro. And okay, this is a frame kit from GepRC. And okay, so let's see what we get in this package. We get an assembly schematic. Okie, it's a pretty straightforward frame, so not much to it, but it's nice to get that schematic. We get some decals, which is always nice, of course, and we get some straps. Okay, so basically 2 battery straps for your flight battery and a camera strap. And okay, you know what? I'll take everything out of this box and then we'll have a close look at it. And the first thing we'll have a look at is the carbon fiber parts. And they are mostly wrapped, well, they are all wrapped in plastic, as you can tell, to prevent damage from shipping. And okay, so let's actually cut these open. Alrighty, so we've got 4 arms. Yeah, so no spare arm, and that's typical. Sometimes, now and again, you get frames in with a spare arm, but not in this case. So, are these frame arms all identical? They kinda... No, they're not 100% identical. These ones have an indent over here for a screw, presumably, and these ones don't. Yeah. Okay, so you get 2 types of arms. And okay, the arms taper in between. Over here they are at their thinnest, and they spread out over here and over here, which is in my mind the optimal shape for an arm. This over here as well, they'll be mounted in the frame, right? And screw hole at the thinnest part, screw hole. But they'll also be sandwiched in between the plates. So yeah, okay, we'll see what if it feels stiff at least. We got one of the optional camera mounts over here. You get a lot of camera mounts actually. And this is probably some kind of bumper. And this here is probably to prevent the arms from moving. That'll be mounted in the center. I'm just guessing. Like so, probably. Okay, I like that the press nuts, these press nuts, are already pressed into the carbon fiber. For instance, with my Foxeer frames, that's not the case, and you can sometimes struggle to press them in well enough. So again, I'm happy to see that they're already pressed into the carbon fiber. And yeah, probably the frame will be somewhat like this, or like this, but with the arms in between, right? These press nuts, by the way, are all used for the stack. Is that correct? Am I telling you lies or no? They are all used for the stack. The arms, sorry. Did I say stack? They are all used for the arms. Yeah, okay. And that also means that your stack, your flight stack, won't be have a hard contact with the screws of that run through your arms. Okay, so also nicely chamfered, the arms. They give you a luxurious feel, so to speak. Everything feels well cut, and as you can probably tell from my fingers, the carbon fiber parts are clean. Very nice. Then we've got ourselves a assembly package, screws and standoffs and such, and also actually some tools, as you can hopefully see. Allen keys and a wrench. Yeah, okay, and okay, that's nice. And again, a lot of screws and standoffs. Then we get a, okay, so this is actually important. Let's call this a care package. And this is also included in the non-pro version. So in the non-pro version you also have a camera mount, a foam camera mount. You don't need the pro version to have a camera mount. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In fact, you get 2 foam blocks. In case this one doesn't work out for your type of camera, you get another one. And okay, what is this? Anti-skid for your lipo? I'm not sure. This is of course anti-skid for your lipo, and this is the same material. Maybe if you want things to be bigger, or if you want to use this for your camera, or maybe for the bottom of the, probably for your camera. Yeah, probably for your camera. Okay, and we've got some foam things, and we'll see what those are for once I've assembled the frame. And okay, some other stickers, yes. Then one major part of this frame is this aluminium camera housing. Aluminium, yeah, aluminium. So that's definitely a selling point. That should protect your camera better than the average frame. And I'm anxious to see whether I like this construction, whether behind this cage the frame will be stiff enough, strong enough. Okay, so we'll see about that when I've assembled the frame. And this here is optional. This is part of the Pro package, I guess. So TPU printed landing feet, and we'll see what those look like on the frame in a couple of minutes. And a couple of camera mounts, which GoPro and naked GoPro mounts. Yeah, and a camera or an antenna mount for the rear, and that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, you also get antenna tubes, 2 of those, and as mentioned, you get 3 straps. That's what you get. Again, this I feel is the Pro package. And it's up to you whether you want to pay for that, and it's available in black, green and blue, and maybe by the time you're watching this video in other colors. Check out the links in the description to see what options there are. Okie dokie, so a lot of parts, which is always nice. What I'll do is I'm gonna be assembling this frame, then I'll report back to you. And whether everything fits well together, is everything stiff, what is the weight of this frame, and the dimensions. So let's build this quadcopter. And just like that, we've got ourselves a GepRC Mark V frame. And I must say it was a joy, a genuine joy to build this quadcopter, or this frame that is. Yeah, everything fits well together. But not in a way that the tolerances are super duper small. After you've fitted the arms with like 2 screws, it is all rigid. But for instance, when I compare this frame, the build of this frame, to my Foxeer frame over here, the Foxeer Aura 5, this one has very tight tolerances. But which also result in a very stiff frame after you've built it. But sometimes you can struggle to get a screw in, just because the tolerances are maybe a little on the small side. So again, comparing that to the GepRC frame, this was more of a joy to build. And also there are a couple of very smart things in this frame, or what you get with the frame. For instance, these screws over here are flanged. Is that the name? Flanged? These screws are wider and these are meant to hold down this TPU part, right? And if you've ever crashed a quadcopter, you might have found that these TPU prints can rip off of the screw. I've often seen that happen. Sometimes you even lose a camera that way, and therefore they used wider screws for this mount. Very smart, so that should prevent this print from ripping out of your frame. Very, very nice. Okay, so, oh, and one other smart thing, or neat feature if you will, is this print over here. And this is a capacitor mount. You can screw that into the frame over here. That'll be hard to see, but well, inside the cage, and stick your capacitor in there, and well, that'll keep it in place, right? And there's actually a second mount for capacitors, for a capacitor, and that's over here. And over here you'd simply zip tie it in place. Yeah, oh, by the way, I didn't get zip ties with this frame. Is that an omission? Nah, most frames probably don't come with zip ties, but would have been nice. Okay, so also you get stick screws for a 30.5 by 30.5 stick. Right, you get stick screws for a 20 by 20 stick, or maybe for a Vista. Very nice. And you even, this is nice, you get these stand-offs, which I obviously didn't use. And these are meant to elevate, raise your, for instance, your Vista off of the bottom over here. And why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you fitted a capacitor over there, and then you can raise your Vista above that. And you actually get standoffs in two lengths for that. Very, very nice. Yeah. And you get some spare press nuts. Very nice. You get self-locking nuts for your stack, for your stacks, I should say. And you even get gummies for your stack, black gummies. Yeah, okay, so, and these foam parts, these are meant to go in the rear over here. To protect maybe, or raise in another way, an air unit. Yeah, I probably won't end up using these, but it's nice to get them as an extra. Yeah, so, and obviously in my case the Pro version comes with these landing feet and an antenna mount. Yeah, the one thing I am missing here is an antenna mount for an analog antenna, an SMA mount. I'll end up printing that myself, I guess, but yeah, okay. And you also, in the Pro package, you get this mount, alternate mount. Here I've got the mount for a full-size GoPro, this is for a naked GoPro. And one last thing I should mention, you get some stickers, and those go inside this camera cage. See, that camera cage is 20mm wide, or accommodates 20mm cameras, HD cameras. But if you want to fit an analog camera, you can fit stickers on the inside, limiting the width to 19mm. Very, very nice. Yeah, so with that also done, let's do some measuring and see what the weight of this frame is. Alright, before I continue, I should mention that this frame doesn't accommodate a 20 by 20 stack in the middle, which is probably a little uncommon these days. So in the center of the frame you've got 30 by 30 as an option. At the rear you do have 20 by 20 and 30.5 by 30.5, but yeah, a lot of frames and a lot of people will see that as a disadvantage. No 20 by 20 in the center. Okie dokie. Yeah, you could maybe put a 20 by 20 stick in with an adapter, but yeah, I guess GepRC chose this, and okay, yeah, it is what it is, but it's definitely something you should know, I guess. Okay, then dimensions. Front to back, motor center to motor center is 135 millimeters, 135, and the width 100 and 175. So definitely a very wide frame, much wider than it is long. And the wheelbase is 125 millimeters. Okie dokie. And yeah, so what does it weigh? This doesn't feel like a super duper light frame. Let's see what it weighs. Okie dokie, so GepRC tells us that this frame weighs 130 grams. I do have some optional parts on the frame though. Let's see what that does. 139 grams. So with that, I'd say that 130 grams for the bare frame is realistic. Yeah, so this is definitely not a light frame. Yeah, it's a freestyle frame, it's not a racer. But okay, so let's compare that to my Foxeer frame. And for that I need to add the landing feet. 151 grams. Keep that in mind. 151 grams. 151. And the Foxeer frame with landing feet is 144, so some 7 grams lighter. It feels lighter. Yeah, so the GepRC I now have with this camera mount on it, but then the Foxeer frame has a full complement of antenna mount at the rear, so it should even out more or less. Yeah, a little bit lighter. Right? But still, I'd say that calling this a 130 grams frame is realistic for the bare frame. I just noticed, by the way, that my Foxeer frame here already has its stack screws. It's 30.5 by 30.5 stack screws installed. So that means that there is a little bit more in between these two frames in terms of weight. I'm not sure why. Yeah, probably the arms. These arms are a little bit beefier on the GepRC frame. And maybe this camera cage. The camera cage looks and feels very beefy, I must say. I've had, like for instance, the KHX5 elegant frames from GepRC. Those also had an aluminium camera housing. This feels and looks beefier. And like I mentioned, I was a little bit worried that this here would be a weak point where the top plate transitions into that camera housing. Seeing this frame live, I don't think so. One thing some people might not like is that all these screws at the top plate are countersunk. So they are sunk into the frame, making the screw holes a little more fragile. I'm not sure whether that's the right word, but a lot of people prefer normal nuts because of that. Long story short though, I think the biggest difference in weight between these two frames is the center section over here. This looks beefier in the GepRC frame. The ends of the arms over here look wider or are wider, and this center section is wider. The rear of the frame is also a little bit wider. Yeah, the Foxeer frame is definitely designed to be slender, yeah. Side note, by the way, if you're new to my channel, I've done a lot of frame reviews, and the frames I started my channel out on were all GepRC frames. Or in other words, the first like 10 builds I've done were all exclusively with GepRC frames. Was I or am I a fan of GepRC frames? Well, I think they design smart frames. And they are well machined and such. So if you were considering this frame, I think this is a nice frame. Yeah, does it fly well, however? Well, we'll see about that in a future video. I will be building this quadcopter or this frame. I actually have GepRC motors for this frame. And these are incidentally the same motors that GepRC uses on their ready-to-fly version of the Mark V. So I guess we'll be able to see what the performance of the ready-to-fly more or less is. We'll see what the frame does, and the motors and the rest of the components won't be from GepRC. But again, should give you an indication coming up. And that's my review of the GepRC Mark V frame. Thank you very much for watching, of course. And what are your thoughts on this frame or GepRC as a frame builder? Hit me up a comment down below. Catch you on the next video. Bye bye.